On the morning of her 10th birthday, Hannah woke up to the sound of rain tapping softly against a cracked window, the kind of gentle, persistent rain that seemed to mirror a heart trying not to break. The small apartment in Dayton, Ohio smelled faintly of damp carpet and old coffee, and the gray light outside made everything feel quieter than it should have been on a day meant for celebration. Hannah lay still for a moment, staring at the ceiling where water stains formed shapes she had memorized over the years, wondering if this birthday would feel any different from the ones before it. Deep down, she already knew the answer, and that knowledge weighed heavier than the thin blanket pulled up to her chin. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one small act to change a life, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a kind comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Hannah lived with her mother, Ruth, who worked long hours cleaning offices downtown, often coming home after midnight, with sore hands and tired eyes that still tried to smile. Money was always short, and joy felt like a luxury item they learned to live without. At school, Hannah was quiet, wearing the same faded jackets and carefully patched sneakers, doing her best to disappear into the background. She was not bullied in loud, obvious ways, but she was overlooked, and sometimes that felt even worse. Classmates talked around her, past her, and through her, as if she were part of the furniture rather than a girl with a heart full of wishes she never dared to say out loud. Weeks earlier, the teacher had asked everyone to bring invitations for their birthday parties, a cheerful assignment meant to encourage friendship. Hannah had frozen when she heard it. She had no money for invitations, no place to host a party, and no real friends to invite. That afternoon, she sat at the small kitchen table while her mother counted coins for groceries, and she quietly decided she would not invite anyone. It felt safer to expect nothing than to hope and be disappointed. Still, Ruth insisted on doing something, anything, to mark the day. She promised a small cake from the discount bakery and a few balloons if she could manage it. Hannah nodded, pretending that was enough, even though her chest ached with the unspoken dream of hearing someone knock on the door just for her. The day arrived and the rain made the world feel smaller. Ruth left early for work, kissing Hannah on the forehead and promising to come home as soon as she could. Hannah spent the morning cleaning the apartment, not because it was needed, but because keeping her hands busy kept her thoughts from spiraling. She arranged 2 mismatched chairs by the table, placed the single gift her mother had wrapped in newspaper at one end, and set out 3 paper plates she had found in a drawer. The cake sat in its box, white frosting slightly smudged on one side, waiting. Each minute stretched longer than the last, and every sound from the hallway made her heart jump, only to sink again when footsteps passed by. By early afternoon, the rain had slowed, but the silence inside the apartment grew louder. Hannah sat on the couch, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the door she knew no one would open. She had told herself this was fine, that she had chosen this, that birthdays were just another day. Still, tears burned behind her eyes, and she felt foolish for wearing the one nice dress her mother had saved for special occasions. It felt like a costume for a role no one was watching. Then, unexpectedly, there was a knock. At first, Hannah thought she imagined it. Her heart pounded as she stood, each step toward the door feeling unreal. Another knock followed, firmer this time, unmistakably real. When she opened the door, she saw a man standing there with a damp jacket and kind, uncertain eyes. He was older, maybe in his late 50s, with graying hair and a gentle posture. His name was Thomas, the maintenance worker for the building, a man Hannah had seen in passing but never really noticed. In his hands, he held a small paper bag and a single balloon, slightly deflated from the rain. Thomas had seen the handmade sign taped crookedly to the door earlier that week, letters uneven but hopeful, announcing a birthday. He had asked around and learned it was Hannah's, and something about the quiet determination behind that sign stayed with him. He had lost his own daughter years ago and knew too well how silence could echo on days meant for celebration. So on his lunch break, he stopped at a nearby store and bought what little he could afford, unsure if he was overstepping but feeling pulled to try. Hannah stood frozen, unsure what to do, her mind racing. She had invited no one, and yet here was someone who came. Thomas smiled softly and explained why he was there, his voice steady and respectful, making it clear he expected nothing in return. He simply did not want her birthday to pass unnoticed. Hannah stepped aside and let him in, still stunned, as if the world had briefly shifted on its axis. Inside the small apartment, the presence of another person changed everything. The air felt warmer, fuller. Thomas sat on one of the mismatched chairs, carefully placing the bag on the table. Inside were a small stuffed bear and a card with a simple message wishing her a happy birthday and reminding her that she mattered. Hannah listened as he spoke about small joys, about how life could be hard but still hold moments worth holding on to. He did not talk down to her or rush to fill the silence. He simply stayed, and that in itself felt like a gift beyond measure. When Ruth came home early, breathless from hurrying, she stopped short at the sight of someone sitting at their table. Fear flickered across her face until Thomas stood and explained himself. Tears welled in Ruth's eyes as she realized what this moment meant for her daughter. They shared the small cake together, the three of them, cutting uneven slices and laughing softly when the frosting stuck to the knife. It was not the party Hannah had once imagined, but it was real, and it was filled with something she had rarely felt before, being seen. In the days that followed, word of that birthday spread quietly through the building. Neighbors who had never spoken to Hannah before began to smile, to ask her about school, to leave small notes or treats by the door. Her teacher noticed a change too, the way Hannah raised her hand a little more often, the way she smiled without immediately looking away. One person showing up had created a ripple she never could have predicted. Thomas continued to check in, not as a hero, but as a steady presence. He fixed a loose cabinet, brought over old books his daughter had loved, and reminded Hannah that kindness did not always come loudly or in crowds. Sometimes it came as a single knock on a rainy day. Ruth found herself believing again, not just in generosity, but in the idea that their lives were not invisible. As months passed, Hannah carried that birthday with her like a quiet flame. On days when school felt heavy or money worries crept back in, she remembered the sound of that knock and the way it changed everything. She learned that inviting no one did not mean no one would care, and that sometimes the world surprised you when you least expected it. Her dreams grew a little braver. She began to imagine a future where she could be the one who showed up for someone else. If this story has touched your heart in any way, if it has reminded you of the power of being present for someone who feels alone, please take a moment now to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread messages of hope and compassion to others who may need it more than we know. And before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us about a moment when someone showed up for you, or when you showed up for someone else. Your words might be the encouragement another viewer is waiting to see. Years later, Hannah would look back on that rainy birthday as the day her life quietly turned. Not because everything became easy, but because she learned that even in the smallest rooms, with the simplest cake and the fewest guests, love could still find a way in. One person came, and that was enough to remind her that she was never truly alone.